What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Fantasy Football Addicts. It's your host, Dawson, joined by just Mick tonight. Wyatt had a meeting, so he was not able to join today, but we do have his list that we're going to share with you guys. So what we got today for y'all is a divisional breakdown once again, and today we are going to be doing the NFC South. So the NFC South is absolutely loaded with fantasy football talent, so this list was kind of hard to do, but there's kind of a tier break before the best at each position. So if you have not seen a divisional breakdown video yet, go check out our first one we did. It was the AFC West. But what we do is we pretty much go through each position and we give you who we think is going to be the most fantasy impactful person at that position. And then we give a few honorable mentions who we also think will be fantasy impactful but didn't quite make the cut because the top guy is just that good. And that's the case in this division. This division has a lot of has one guy at each spot that's just kind of really, really good. And obviously there's going to be guys behind him that are also going to produce. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's start with the quarterback position of the NFC South. And for me, I'm going to start, and I'm going to go with Matt Ryan, quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. And this kills me because I hate the Falcons. I'm a Saints fan. I'm a Drew Brees lover, if you will. And I love Drew Brees. I think he's the better quarterback, obviously. I just don't think that – I think the fantasy potential in the Falcons offense is just incredible with how often they throw the ball. They're probably going to be behind in a few games. They're going to have to throw a lot. And Matt Ryan consistently throws for 4,000-plus yards every year. His weapons in that offense are incredible with Julio and Ridley and Hurst and Gurley. And that team is just going to throw the ball a ton. And I think Matt Ryan has the best fantasy football outlook this year for quarterbacks in that division.
So for me, it was so close because I had three of them like right next to each other. I had Breeze, Brady, and Matt Ryan right next to each other, but I think I'm going to pick Tom Brady here. And the reason why is because, yes, he's super old, but that offense last year, the Bucs offense last year was very good with Jameis Winston. If you take away some of those interceptions that Jameis Winston threw, that team makes the playoffs, and I don't think that they bolstered up the running game. I know they drafted Keyshawn Vaughn, which helps the running game, but that's still a pass-first team. Rojo and Keyshawn Vaughn are not good enough to turn that team into a run-first offense, and I think Tampa, that's the reason why Tom Brady went there. He wants to prove that he didn't need Belichick. Tom Brady's down there to party with Gronk. That's why Gronk brought him there. And the best way for Tom Brady to party is to throw a lot of touchdowns and a lot of yards this year. And I think that's what he's trying to prove he can do. The offense is set up for him to be successful. And he has insanely good weapons. Matt Ryan was super close because I think the Falcons are a worse team, so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. And Julio and Calvin Ridley aren't scrubs either. But if I have to pick between two guys who are in pass-first offenses, I think I'm going to pick Tom Brady over Matt Ryan.
And I also see the Tom Brady argument. I think that was really, really close for me too. And what we're going to do also real quick is we're going to say who Wyatt had because he told us what he wants us to say. And so his quarterback was, as you all probably guessed, Tom Brady. And so Mick covered why, Tom Brady has the weapons. He's in that offense that was really good with not a great quarterback. And so you put a great quarterback in there, should be better. I think they're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. It's going to be a lot of shootout games in that division. So, Tom Brady, no doubter, is a solid choice there. And so it's going to take us to running back. And I don't think we have to touch on this very long, but we all have CMC, right? There's not much to say. It's Christian McCaffrey. He's going to do what he did last year. He's going to be a 1,000 guy again. He's going to catch 100 passes. He's probably going to be the RB1 again. So, he's going to be the most fantasy impactful player easily at the running back position, in my opinion, and all of our opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because there's not very many divisions where Alvin Kamara could go there and still be the number 2 running back in that division for fantasy football. But, the clear choice is CMC.
A couple of honorable mentions for this position, obviously Alvin Kamara. And Wyatt's honorable mention is Todd Gurley. I think is a kind of a sleeper one because I like Todd Gurley this year because he's the only real running back in that offense. And given that if he doesn't hold out due to COVID, he's going to see a ton of touches. And like we said, he's probably going to catch some passes in that offense for Matt Ryan. So Todd Gurley is a good honorable mention for that one. So moving on to wide receiver, we're going to do 2 wide receivers once again. And obviously the first one for all of us was Michael Thomas. He is the wide receiver 1 or 2 on all of our lists. And he is an absolute animal, as Wyatt would say. He's going to put up insane reception numbers, insane yardage numbers. He's going to be a stud. So that's not really a hard one to pick. The number 2 is where we all kind of differ, But actually, I don't know if we all differ, but it was very close for wide receiver 2 for me. I'm going to lean towards Godwin because I have him as my wide receiver 3. And I want to have DJ Moore, but Chris Godwin just is going to be incredible with Tom Brady. We talked about it in our wide receiver video the other day. I think Chris Godwin is going to be Tom Brady's Julian Edelman in that offense and is going to catch everything that doesn't go 50 yards on the field. So Chris Godwin is going to see an insane fantasy production again this year. I think it might even just improve with Tom Brady. So Chris Godwin's a no-brainer for me. My honorable mention is going to be DJ Moore. Who was your wide receiver?
So yeah, I had Michael Thomas as well, and I had Chris Godwin. I just think there's not much to talk about here because how can you argue like 1 or 2 wide receiver on almost everybody's list in the country, and then Chris Godwin is probably 3 or 4 on everybody's list in this country, at least top 5. And I don't think Evans or DJ Moore is going to be topping Godwin. I just think Godwin's primed to have an insane year again. But yeah, my honorable mention is actually going to be Mike Evans because, like I've said earlier or before in another video, he is going to be catching a lot of touchdowns. I think that, like I said, Tom Brady is going to be trying to prove that he is a insane quarterback without Belichick there, and he will be tempted to throw the deep ball. I don't know if he didn't throw the deep ball with Belichick because of Belichick, or he didn't throw the deep ball because he can't throw the deep ball as often as he would like to in his elderly age for quarterback even. But yeah, I think Evans is going to be a really good receiver this year.
Yeah, and a couple more honorable mentions that have to be named: Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. We said Mike Evans, Emmanuel Sanders. Like that offense or that division has just insane amounts of wide receiver talent in that division. So like those guys are all going to make great fantasy impacts this season. So don't hear what we're not saying and that they're not going to be. We just have Godwin and Michael Thomas as the top 2 at that position. So that's going to take us to our tight ends, and I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst. And we've talked about Hayden Hurst a ton on this channel. I love Hayden Hurst. We've talked about how the Falcons have so many vacated targets. They need someone to fill those targets. I think Hayden Hurst is going to be fantastic. Matt Ryan creates a viable fantasy tight end every year that he's a quarterback. We've seen what he does with Tony Gonzalez, with Austin Hooper. I think Hayden Hurst is just going to step in, fill that role, and going to be a top 10 tight end this year easily, maybe even higher. So I think Hayden Hurst is the best tight end option in that division.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Jared Cook could be a top tight end in this division, but I think it's a safer pick to go with Hayden Hurst here. And then Gronk, I just don't like picking tight ends with another viable tight end as well, like OJ Howard. The same reason why I'm not as high on Higbee or Austin Hooper and David Njoku. I just don't like the 2 tight end thing. Same thing with Zach Ertz because they have Dallas Goedert there. I just don't like that situation for fantasy, but I'll take Hurst or Cook. But I think if I had to pick one, I'm taking Hurst.
Yeah, and Wyatt's option was Gronk because, once again, he loves the Patriots and he also loves that Bucs offense, as he should, because that Bucs offense is going to be incredible. So all 3 of those tight ends are viable, but yeah, I'm going to go with Hurst. Nick's going to go with Hurst, and Wyatt is going to go with Gronk. That is going to take us to defenses, and I'm going to go with my team on this one, the New Orleans Saints defense. You got Cam Jordan. You got Marshawn Lattimore. You got Marcus Williams on the other side. You got Marcus Davenport, who's already in the top 10 sack leader in Saints franchise history, and he's like a year 3 guy. You got Sheldon Rankins. That defense is going to be loaded. There's so many guys I didn't even name. Demario Davis. That defense is going to be a top 10 defense this year. And you give Drew Brees a top 10 defense and a full 16 games, he may go 16-0. So you heard it here first. Saints going 16-0 this year. I'm just kidding, but that defense is going to be very good this year, and I think they're going to give you the most takeaways, give you the most sacks, and they're the best fantasy option for defenses in that division, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Atlanta has a good defense. I don't think Panthers have a good defense, and I don't think that the Bucs defense is all that good. And I think the Saints is a clear winner in this division. And at the bare minimum, even if they can't stop very many people, they will rack up enough sack points just to get you by.
Yeah, and Wyatt's defense was also the Saints, so we all had an agreement there. I think the honorable mention is the Bucs because I think that's the best of the 2 remaining.
Mm-hmm.
that's the only viable option you can kind of have as honorable mention in that division because the other two aren't even close. But yeah, they still got Ndamukong Suh. You can't count him out. He's a sack animal. So that's going to be the honorable mention for defense. And that's going to take us to Wyatt's favorite part of the video, and that's kickers. And I'm going to go with Will Lutz, one, because I'm a Saints fan, and two, because that offense scores a lot of points. And they also don't have a super high conversion rate in the red zone, which is really, really painful to watch as a Saints fan. But they do kick a lot of field goals, and they kick in a dome. Those are the three check marks you need for a kicker. And I think Will Lutz is going to be a top 5 kicker for fantasy football. Can't really give you the in-depth kicker analysis that Wyatt can, but yeah, I like Will Lutz this year.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Will Lutz because he does play in a dome. He does hit field goals at a high percentage and extra points. The offense is going to get a couple touchdowns a game. You'll at least have like an extra point floor. I guess that's what you would call it for a kicker. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a kicker expert like Wyatt is, but yeah, I think Will Lutz is the move. And the Falcons have Bryant, who kicks in a dome, and that's the only person who's close to Will Lutz. And really, I think it's Will Lutz.
Yeah, and Wyatt's option is actually Bryant. So we were both wrong because the kicker expert that we called in actually chose Bryant. So we're going to have to go. But yeah, Bryant does kick in a dome, also a high-powered offense. So can't go wrong with either him or Lutz, in my opinion, for that division. But that is going to wrap it up for our NFC South divisional breakdown, where we bring you the most fantasy relevant or the most fantasy impactful players from each division. So leave a comment down below if you like this video. I like these divisional breakdowns. Leave a comment what division you want to see next, and comment who you agree with is going to be the most fantasy impactful at each position.
Also, comment down in the comments if you want to see Wyatt do a top 10 kicker video.
Oh yeah, we're talking about if you want to see a top 10 kicker video, let us know because Wyatt,
I think Wyatt would be perfect at this.
Yeah, so that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep us growing at this rate that we're growing because we're growing pretty quick, and that's thanks to you guys. So we're very appreciative of all that. Go follow us on Twitter at the FF Addicts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.
Draft Cloud, D-Will out.